Hello. This is the second time I'm trying to do this. This is the Attitude episode 2. Attitude Era episode 2. The Royal Rumble 1998. First I'm going to talk about what happened over the month that the following month before that, before this pay-per-view. Obviously the Raw after Royal Rumble, basically Paul Bearer comes out talking about fooling the fans about Kane and Undertaker reuniting. Basically went about saying Taker being set on fire and how much he loved it and Kane loved it, blah blah blah. Taker's music hits with the Druids coming out with the casket that was set on fire. Obviously Undertaker wasn't in it, Kane was basically trying to fool the fans again. And that same night then obviously HBK took the piss out of Undertaker's music basically coming out from the sky. Basically saying, oh, we're going to find the Undertaker no matter what. Obviously that was a load of bull. And then obviously that night then Mike Tyson and Vince McMahon were obviously having that announcement. Before they could make that big announcement, Stone Cold came out and basically started talking trash to Mike. Basically saying, I want a bit of your ass basically. And then Austin puts up the middle finger and then a big brawl happens. Then Austin's on the outside and Vince goes, you've ruined the plan, damn it. Obviously the plan was for Mike Tyson to either be a referee or some sort, but obviously that plan didn't work out. Tyson wants to face Austin in a fight. But sure, then we find out the following week on Raw that the DOA Shamrock, Ken Shamrock and Ahmed Johnson will be facing the Nation in the War of Attrition match at No Way Out. Obviously the rivalry began that week on Raw, then basically they all had a big brawl. Triple H and Owen Hart's rivalry continued. During this, Owen Hart won the European Championship by beating Hunter Dust. Obviously, Sarah Slaughter thought it was good enough, but sure, Triple H obviously not happy with that. Vader then took on Goldust, and this is where Kane and Vader's rivalry kind of started. Kane given the best tombstone you'll ever see. I don't care. He's 480 pounds. Come on, like that is unreal. Absolutely unreal. And then we find out then DX and the New Age Outlaws will be taking on Austin, Owen Hart, Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie in a non-sanctioned brawl basically at No Way Out. Then we had a Don King interview basically saying we have to find a way to have a kind of thing because obviously Mike Tyson couldn't fight at the time. Then the following week on Raw then we had DX with a funny presidential message to the nation, kind of taking the piss out of that. That was absolutely fantastic. Obviously had New Age Outlaws pushing Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack off the stage with the dumpster. Sick basically. DX and were about to do the same thing with Owen Hart, only for the referees coming out. Obviously not the same thing, they were going to catapult them in. And DX and New Age Outlaws tied up Stone Cold, so they were very busy that week on Raw. Then basically the NWA and the LOD kind of rivalry then, along with the Bradshaw incident then with was it Barry Windham, basically all happened at the same time. So this all leads into this pay-per-view, which was in the Compaq Center in Houston, Texas. The pay-per-view itself obviously wasn't that great, to be honest. Like there was maybe 2 matches, 3 maybe, that were worth watching basically. Like the other matches were okay to watch basically. Obviously they weren't meant to be good. Well, don't mean that in that way, but like they weren't obviously going to be good enough. Probably the most surprising match was the WWF Light heavyweight title, but we'll get into that. We kicked it off with Marc, Mero and Goldust versus the HeadBangers. A decent opener. It started off with kind of Marc Mero telling Sable to get the hell out of the ring. I don't get that, to be honest. Sable is massively over with the fans, obviously because she's good looking. She was a very good looking young, very good looking woman, I must say. Like her bust was very nice. Marc Mero obviously just jealous of her spot. Like he should be lucky because basically he's getting a react. It doesn't matter. Every time he's coming out, he's getting cheered. It doesn't matter if it's her or not. But then obviously he doesn't care. But to start off with them with back and forth from both teams. Nice teamwork then from the HeadBangers. Excuse me. HeadBangers then dominate for a little bit. Nice drop kick from Mosh and Goldust gets 2. Mero comes in after a blind tag and works on Thrasher, and Goldust outside ring picks up Thrasher and throws him down onto the steps, which gets him busted wide open. Crowd shout for Sable. Excuse me. Sorry, a bit of a cold. Thrasher counters the TKO and gives Mero a nice DDT. Mosh comes in, clears house basically. excuse me, Sable comes out. Then Mero gets kind of angry after giving Mosh the TKO. They switch with they switch, rolls up Mero then for the 3, and then Sable basically cracks up with Mero after the match. Sorry about this, lads. Excuse me. Overall, the match itself was pretty good. I give it a 2-star. Sorry about that. I have a bit of a cold now at the moment. The last video I made, actually, this is the second attempt at making this video. I was grand on the last one. I just don't know what's going on with me. This cold's basically been at me now for the last day. So I'll try and get through this video without sneezing more. Next match then is for the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship. Taka Michinoku versus Pantera. Absolute awesome match. 2.5 stars. It's an awesome 2.5 star match though, because I don't think many people were expecting this from both. I was expecting maybe 1.5 star okay type match, but it was very good. The star of it there was pretty good. Taka starts off with a heel kick. Pantera then does a nice springboard onto Taka. Nice arm drag takedown from Pantera. Taka jumps off the top rope basically onto Pantera like a crossbody. It was very nice now, I must say, considering the fact that WWF weren't known for that back then. Taka then with a nice right hand, and Pantera with an awesome Hurricane Rana, kind of from the edge. It was on the apron of the rope, right down. Absolutely brilliant. And then straight away, then he did a nice suicide dive, which was absolutely brilliant. He's well known for that. Then Pantera kind of works on the back of Taka for a while. Nice backbreaker, gets 2. Pantera then does some nice work. Then jumps over the top rope, kind of like a springboard onto Taka's back. Again, then with another Hurricane Rana, this time from the top rope, that gets 2. Taka then kind of gets back with a nice missile drop kick from the back, and then he finishes it off then with the Michinoku driver to get that for 3. Then after the match, then obviously Brian Christopher was on commentary. He gets pissed off about the fact that Taka is supposed to be all this. Tries to get into the ring, but Jerry the King Lawler, his father I should say, talks to him before Taka jumps off the top rope onto both of them, which was pretty cool. So overall, I'll give this match 2.5 stars. The first 2 matches have been good, but then the third match was awful between the Godwins and the Quebecers. I don't really have much to talk about on this one. Basically, all the good work really was by the Godwins, to be fair. Nice double clothesline from Henry on the both Quebecers. A spine buster slam on Rockus. Henry knocks out Priere with a clothesline, and Phineas pins for 3. And after the match, both of them basically hit the Quebecers with the buckets. So I'll give it a star, maybe. Just about that, since I'm very kind today. Next match then is for the NWA North American Heavyweight Championship. Justin Bieber, I was going to fucking say, Jesus Christ, if he was ever in WWE, lads, jeez. Jeff Jarrett versus Bradshaw. That's just a random moment, that is, for me. This match was surprisingly good now, to be fair. Surprisingly good. I was expecting this to be worse than the Godwins match. I don't know why. But we find out before the match that the NWA are banned, except for Jim Cornette, who is allowed to stay because he has a manager's basically a manager's right to stay. I just don't get that. I think they're just trying to cover that up. So basically, we start off with Bradshaw kicking Jeff Jarrett 5 times in the head like that. They were some vicious kicks. Bradshaw dominates then the match for a bit. Bradshaw grabs Jim and Jeff, and a nice meeting of the minds. Jarrett fights back with a nice clothesline for 2. Jim hits Bradshaw with the rackets into the knee. Obviously, we know what Jim Cornette's tenet, right? Yeah, it's a tenet, but there's definitely something else in it. Jarrett then works on, and he goes for the figure 4 but misses. Jarrett then gets a nice DDT. Jarrett then goes for a crossbody. Bradshaw catches him and gives him a nice fallaway slam for 2. Jarrett then hits Bradshaw with a racket. The referee sees him and DQs him, and then basically a big brawl between the LOD and the NWA, because obviously LOD were coming out to get the save on Bradshaw, and basically LOD cleared house. So overall, decent match, even though it was a stupid finish. I'll give it 2 stars. Next match then is the war of attrition between the Nation versus DOA, Adnan Johnson and Ken Shamrock. I'll give this match 3 stars, just barely. It was good, but like it could have been a hell of a lot better. Excuse me. Dino Brown then basically starts off with a nice spinning heel kick on Skull. Basically, Skull gets dominated by the whole Nation in this match. Chain comes in and does the 3 elbows that he's so good at. Yeah. Henry and Johnson then go out. Johnson with a nice power slam for 2. D'Lo with a nice frog splash on Johnson. Johnson then with a nice spine buster on Farouk. Shamrock gets the tag with a nice spinning heel kick onto Farouk. Then Rock gets tagged in. He comes in, gives Shamrock a nice DDT. The Rock then works on Shamrock then for a bit. D'Lo gets in then and does a frog splash on Skull. Rock then does what is now called the People's Elbow on Skull for 2. The Rock then does the low blow on Skull as well. So everyone from the nation basically worked on Skull. It's ridiculous. Then everyone came in, kind of brawled for a minute. Shamrock and the Rock were left basically belly to belly, suplex from Shamrock, and he gets the ankle lock in for the win. So Rock and then Farouk then basically afterwards kind of start pushing each other, and then all hell breaks loose basically. Farouk punches D'Lo Brown. This is basically the end for Farouk at the Nation, because obviously he leaves the night after WrestleMania, so this is kind of the decline of the Nation a little bit. So it was an okay match, just give it 3 stars barely. Next match then is Kane versus Vader. No, again, this match did actually, it was okay. Like Kane's first real test, it kind of worked. He kind of basically, I give it an A basically for Kane. Like he definitely did okay. Kind of Vader squares up to him at the start, and they start fighting on the outside. Kane starts just giving Vader some nice uppercuts. Same with Vader coming back with some nice right hands to Kane's head. Kane to get back in there, and Kane does the first ever flying clothesline, which he does very well. Vader power slams Kane, then a splash, and then a Vader bomb. That still doesn't beat Kane, which is very impressive considering the fact that Vader's like at least 140 pounds more. Vader power bombs Kane, that's not enough, but when he gets back up, Kane chokeslams him and tombstones him for the win. So I'll give it 2 stars, because I think Kane's first real match in WWF. Like, yeah, he's faced Mankind and maybe a few other matches, but like this was his first real test. I think he kind of came out of it pretty good, and then at the end of it, then hit Vader in the face with a wrench. Obviously, Vader then goes up, kind of gets surgery, and is obviously off then for 2 months. But other than that, I'll give it 2 stars, and then we're on to the main event, the non-sanctioned match between Cactus Jack, Chainsaw Charlie, Stone Cold, Owen Hart versus the New Age Outlaws, Triple H, and the surprise tag team partner, which was Savio Vega. HBK obviously couldn't come in, obviously because of that broken back, obviously the back injuries that he suffered at the Royal Rumble. So, which was unfortunate, because I think Shawn Michaels would have done well in this. Absolutely would have done absolutely fantastic in this. Like obviously he can make any match work. He's basically the 90s version of Rick. He's basically what Ric Flair was in the 80s. But it starts off with a big massive brawl for about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes. Like I think we had about maybe 5 minutes of basically normal tag team match here. But obviously Austin starts off by working on Billy Gunn. Then Austin hits Road Dogg and Triple H with a trash can lid. Austin then hits Triple H with a mop and then low blows him with a TV cable. Owen Hart power slams Billy Gunn through a table. Billy Gunn hits Austin in the face with the trash can lid. Triple H then with a nice DDT on Funk. Road Dogg power bombs Terry Funk through 2 chairs. Now this was very sick. Austin then with a nice throw of the trash can lid to Billy's head. Triple H hits Funk twice in the head with a chair. Very sick. Triple H then with a nice low blow on Cactus Jack, which gets 2. Gunn then with a nice DDT on the floor to Cactus. Basically everywhere in this match. Savio Vega wraps Cactus with barbed wire. Savio then with a horrible chair shot on Cactus. Austin comes in basically just for a couple minutes and kicks ass. Austin stuns Road Dogg then for the win. Then after the match, Austin stuns Sharon after trying to kind of getting in his way, basically pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. He basically got pissed off and stunned her. So, best match of the night, even though I'm only giving it 3.5. Like it's pretty average from WWF now. This pay per view, I thought I'll give it overall. I'm giving it a 7. Like maybe I could have given it a 6.75, but 7 at the most you could give this pay per view. I think definitely a 7. Like there's some, like yeah, basically the crowd were into every match. Well, bar the Godwins match, but it still wasn't enough to kind of give the star rating. I thought like there were 3 very good matches on this card, but like the rest of them just kind of yeah. So I'll give it a 7. You probably could give it a 7.25, but I still think a 7 is a fair result. So what I'm going to do next, and obviously for the Attitude Era episode 3 will be obviously WrestleMania, which won't be there for another. It could be another week or so, obviously, because I want to kind of really watch the 4th. I think it's at least 5 episodes of Raw and I'm gonna then obviously the WrestleMania itself is going to take at least 4 hours to watch, so I'm kind of probably going to give myself a week to do that. But I'm really enjoying doing this now, I must say. Like, I have a long way to go, obviously. I've gone until 2000, so this could take me possibly nearly a year to do. Because, like, I'm not going to, I'm not kind of try and do one every week, so it could take me up to about at least next April in the May. So, like, at least, hopefully I'll try and get a good fan base on that, so. But, my next video hopefully will be next week.